Hot off the presses. He had some more trade movement, including the 49ers moving up to number 3 to take Alabama quarterback Mac Jones. Another notable move is the Patriots trading up to the 10th pick to draft Justin Fields from Ohio State. There will not be Julian Edelman to catch from him, though. Let's welcome in the one and only Mel Kiper Jr. Mel, top of the morning to you. And that's where I want to start, Mel, with New England. If they trade up and get Justin Fields, would that be the steal of the draft?
Could be, Molly. I think he's the second best quarterback in this draft, and we've seen the third quarterback, fourth, fifth, and sixth quarterbacks over the years turn out to be a lot better than some of the guys went ahead of them. And I think that'll be the case again with Justin Fields. If you can get him at 10, if he even drops a little further than that, which is possible. I thought about maybe Denver at 9, New England at 15. Could they just sit there and wait for him to fall in their lap? I didn't think so, Molly. That's why I had New England jumping up to 10 to get Justin Fields in a division where now you have Tua, Zach Wilson, and the great Josh Allen. So all of a sudden now you are a team has to close that gap or even things up in terms of your quarterback in a division you dominated with Tom Brady for 20 years.
Molly, step aside for a second here. I got to get at my man Mel Kiper Jr. I mean, what the hell? I mean, Mel Kiper Jr., my brother, what's going on with you? What do you mean? It could be the steal. Well, why wouldn't it be the steal of the draft if Justin Fields were to end up with the New England Patriots? Is there something else that could be a bigger steal than that, Mel Kiper?
There's more players in the draft than quarterbacks, Stephen A. So it could be one of the steals. But I'm with you. If he ends up being where I think he will go based on my rankings, but there are teams that have him as the 5th quarterback and disagree with me on that, Stephen A. So there's no consensus on Justin Fields being eventually a great quarterback in the NFL. I think he will be. But to answer your question, for me, yes, he would be a steal. For other teams, they would say, no, he's not a steal. He's going about where he should, or probably maybe even for some of those teams, maybe higher than he should.
Mel, educate me about this. Have you seen a situation where a guy ends the season and he's projected as a clear number 2? Not a game has been played since. No turnovers, no interceptions, no nothing. And somehow, some way, he's 5th now. I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence ahead of him, which is always the case. Now Zach Wilson's ahead of him. Trey Lance arguably is ahead of him. Mac Jones is ahead of him. He's going from 2 to number 5. How do you explain that, Mel Kiper? How does that happen?
Yeah, it happened to me. I had Josh Allen going number 1 in the draft a few years ago, Stephen A., and he ended up being the 3rd quarterback taken behind Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Remember when Aaron Rodgers came out 2-3 weeks before that draft, he was the number 1 pick overall ahead of Alex Smith. And he dropped into the 20s. So it has happened before with this type of situation. And like I said, I think of Ben Roethlisberger. He was the 3rd quarterback taken when the other 2 went really high. So there's been plenty of examples of this over the years. Normally, Stephen A., the quarterback that does fall 9 times, 8 times out of 10, turns out to be really, really good. It makes teams pay for letting that quarterback slide down as far as they did.
What about this? I brought this up yesterday because I haven't seen. Mel, I'm not you. I'm a busy man. You're a busy man. But damn it, you're the football guru. I got to cover all of these sports. Okay, Mel Kiper Jr.? I didn't watch Zach Wilson that much. He is playing at BYU. And I'm just looking at the schedule with Mel, and I brought this up yesterday. Right. Navy, Troy, Louisiana Tech, Houston, Texas State, Western Kentucky, Boise State. There's a loss here to Coastal Carolina. There was a win over North Alabama. Not Alabama, North Alabama. I didn't know there was a North Alabama, Mel Kiper Jr. So my question to you is, when do we take into account the level of competition somebody's going up against? I know Carson Wentz played in North Dakota State, and he was still taking number 2 overall. And we got Trey Lance that's going to be a top quarterback pick. But I'm looking at Zach Wilson. How much attention should we pay to the schedule he went up against?
I think you have to pay attention to it. Trey Lance played a 1AA schedule only, Stephen A. Only had 1 game this year against Central Arkansas. He was 15 or 30 throwing the football. So I'm with you on Justin Fields. I understand that the talent with Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson, the way they spin it, their arm strength, their release, their accuracy is really good for Wilson. Lance has to improve his accuracy moving forward. But I get all that. Talent, undeniable. But it's the same thing for Justin Fields. Incredible talent. But somebody's going to have to slide, Stephen A. In every draft, so one of these quarterbacks, it gets scrutinized. How did Josh Allen become the third quarterback off the board that year when he's an elite quarterback right now? How did Aaron Rodgers drop into the 20s? Well, some things are just unexplainable. They happen because it's the draft, and we don't know college to pro how these guys are going to do. It's all speculative, Stephen A., and opinions are all over the place.
Well, break down for me, Mac Jones suddenly is elevated to number 3. Now, I remember because to me, it's Alabama all day, every day. Roll Tide. You know how I am. But I like Mac Jones. The flip side to it, though, you had people, I remember at one point, he was considered a middle to late first rounder. Now they talk about San Francisco loves him at number 3. What is it about Mac Jones that we can look at and say, number 3 overall pick? Okay, that makes sense for Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch in San Francisco. What is it about Mac Jones that we should be looking at, Mel?
He nailed the draft process, Stephen A. And by that I mean the season, Senior Bowl week, Pro Day, interviews, everything about Mac Jones screams Kyle Shanahan. Accuracy, throwing the football to the short, medium, deep levels. Does that exceptionally well. Incredibly cerebral, getting in and out of that huddle, communicating to the verbiage and the play to the rest of that offense. All those things, accuracy, being able to make throws in clutch situations. That's what cost the 49ers the Super Bowl. An inaccurate throw down the field against Kansas City. You look at Matt Schaub, you look at Matt Ryan, look what he's been able to do, Kyle Shanahan with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now Mac Jones kind of fits what they need in a quarterback. And he does not make mistakes. And when there's somebody open, whether it's a third option, fourth option, fifth option, he finds that guy.
Let me transition to the wide receiver spot for a second here because, I mean, Devontae Smith is something special. We saw what he did with the Tide, Roll Tide again. But you got this kid, Jamar Chase. I mean, at LSU, he sat out last year. Why is it that Chase would be taken ahead of him, particularly when you've got them pretty much potentially going back to back with a 5th and 6th pick in the draft? Why is it that he would be taken ahead of Devontae?
Well, I have Devontae number 1. I've been consistent with that, Stephen A. But right now the consensus is that Jamar Chase is going to go ahead of Devontae. He did opt out. You mentioned that. He only had that one great year at LSU. Keep in mind, 2018, he didn't light it up. And Joe Burrow didn't light it up. It was 2019 where it all came together. With the 84 catches and the 20-point plus average and the 20 touchdowns. So for Jamar Chase, I think bigger, more physically imposing than Devontae Smith, the splendid splinter 2. I'm with you. I've been consistent all along. I have Devontae number 1. And again, where do I have Devontae? Going right behind Jamar Chase, not that far. Jalen Waddle is in this mix, Stephen A.
Yes.
Jalen Waddle could maybe go ahead of Devontae Smith. I'm not buying it right now, but it possibly could happen.
Wow. And by the way, with Cincinnati, you got Burrow as your quarterback. You know you need an offensive line because they stuck. That's part of the reason he got knocked out for the season, okay? But the flip side is you also need weapons to throw to, and he could end up having Chase or Smith. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, what direction do you think they should go in? What direction do you think they will go in?
Toughest call of all the mock first round that I did in terms of making a decision there. I had Chase typed in the computer. I took him out and put Sewell. I was thinking Pitts, but then I had Pitts going early. Here's the thing, Stephen A. When you think about Jamar Chase, yes, he would look great in a Bengal uniform. No question about it. But you have Tyler Boyd and you have T. Higgins, first pick in the second round, who had a really good rookie year. You can find, I have 35 wide receivers with grades inside of 4.5 rounds. I have 14 going in the first 2 rounds. You can find receivers. You cannot find left tackles like Penei Sewell. And I like Jonah Williams, but is he more a right tackle? Riley Reese on a 1-year deal. The veteran playing right tackle. Sewell could play guard as a rookie and improve that line, as Ogden did as a rookie in Baltimore. Play guard, not tackle. So for me, Sewell makes more sense because you got to keep Burrow coming off that injury healthy. He's not going to be necessarily even ready for training camp for a reason. He got hurt, a significant knee injury. I think that supersedes getting a target like Jamar Chase.
I think it's fair to say if you need a receiver or a quarterback, this draft class, it's your year for sure. Mel, we'll continue to talk to you. We're just over 2 weeks away. Hard to believe. Oh,
Molly,
go ahead.
I thought you had a question. I'm not finished with Mel. I got one more question for Mel. I got one more question for Mel right here.
Oh, I can go questions too. I thought we were wrapping.
This kid Sewell, is he going to have the same kind of impact as that monster that went to the Indianapolis Colts out of Notre Dame? He's going to have that kind of impact?
Well, he's a left tackle. Now, he may play guard there the first year, and then obviously would be the right tackle or left tackle, depending upon what happens with Jonah Williams. So, yes, he will elevate that line dramatically. People say he's not Baselli, Ogden, or Pace. He would have been had he played this year. The fact he only had that 1.5 great years at Oregon, and he didn't play this year is the reason why people speculate on